Welcome to the Angel Room. It's good to be back. I got COVID, took me down, had to take a little break, and it's really nice to be back with you all. Today's topic is finding your life purpose. Bear with me today if I have a little bit of coughing. It's still lingering a bit, but I want to talk to you about how helpful your angels are with finding your life purpose or your new purpose. You might already have had a life purpose and you feel like it's time to shift to something different. So, we're going to talk about all of that. And the first thing I'd like to say is that that's how I came to my current life purpose. Absolutely, like I wasn't even looking, and I'll get more into that later and tell you how that came to be because it might actually make sense to you as to how this can all come about. So, the first way is messages. Like when you learn to hear your angels and you start recognizing that you are hearing them, then it's really easy to just start acknowledging that you're getting this guidance and start following it. So you're going to hear those messages in your head like a thought, and it's just something that you're going to have to realize is not your thoughts. I've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it again. Hi, Cynthia. Is that it is going to be a little bit tricky sometimes to discern that, especially in the beginning, because you're going to wonder, well, how do I know if that's my thought or an angel talking to me? It's almost always out of context. I like to talk about when there was times I literally was sitting down making a grocery list and I'm hearing, you need to call such and such, client of mine. And they would just put that person in my mind and I'd know something's going on with them. I need to contact them. Or I'd hear, why aren't you working on your book? No matter how much I was working on my book, my angels wanted me to work on it more and faster. So you're going to hear these kind of messages, and so you're going to have to be attuned to that and just realize that when you have a thought that makes you think something like, what a weird thought, or why am I thinking of that now? It's because it's not your thought. It's because your angels are talking to you and they're trying to get through a message to you. So, yes, you can find your life purpose without your angels, but I think it's faster with the help of your angels, as many things are. So, because that's the focus of my work, I definitely am going to kind of focus on that. So, the messages is probably one of the number one things. And I think I told you it was probably, let me think back here, 9 years ago now, close to it, that I was really going through a rough time and just trying to survive it. And my angels were saying, you need to write a book. You need to host a talk show. And I remember just like, I am in no shape to do either one of those things. I'm just trying to get through each day, trying to hang in there. And I finally told them, I will do those things. And obviously I did because the book is out. And here's the show. And I actually had one before this that ran for 2.5 years. So I did those things as soon as I could. But I had to tell them, listen, I'm going to do those things. I hear you loud and clear. Couldn't miss it if I tried. But I can't do it now, but I will as soon as I can. And it seemed to calm it down. So if you are getting messages to do things that you are not prepared, can't do yet, just keep that in mind. It's hard for the angels because they've never been human. Just as if we'll never be angels, darn it. There goes my lifelong dream. But it's the truth. I'm going to keep cough drops in my mouth in hopes I don't start a coughing fit today. But the second thing is signs. Getting signs from your angels. And these signs come in so many different ways. They can be literally that you're seeing a picture of something again and again. It can be things like a person coming into your life and talking to you about a topic that is something that means something to you that you've already been made aware of. It can be hearing it in music lyrics. Sometimes even people tell me they see it on license plates. Anywhere that you can hear something or see something, you can be getting signs. And I'll give you a good for instance. I have a client who got signs from their angels about something, and it was a butterfly. The symbol was a butterfly. And it was to let them know that they're going to be fine. They're not only going to heal, but they're going to blossom and become something so much more beautiful than they were before their trauma. And first it was literal butterflies coming in and landing on them and fluttering their wings, and it would definitely get their attention. But then later it became people would give her a card and it would have a butterfly on it. She would look at a t-shirt and turn it around and on the back was a butterfly. I mean, it just got to be, I'm getting chills talking about it because it got to be such a fiesta of synchronicity that there was no way she could have missed that these were signs for her. And it actually was part of what helped pull her out of the situation she was in and set her mind on healing and the future and feeling better. But it also was about her life purpose because she had gotten so mired. She really lost herself in a relationship that was toxic, and she lost her way. And so she had been pulled out of her life purpose path and needed to get back on track. So that just realizing she was getting all of those signs and symbols was a big deal for her. It really did help her get herself straightened out again. And let me just say, for those of you who are here live on the show right now, I'm just going to remind you, I would love to have you ask me questions. I would love anything you want to share on this topic today. And if you want to, just you can raise your hand. There's also a feature, if you go down to reactions, a little button at the bottom, there's a raise your hand. And you can also ask it in the chat room, which is open to the right. So if you have anything you want to ask, just let me know. And if you're watching later, listening later, and you have questions, I welcome them at any time. You can email me, and that is in the show description. So the next thing I want to talk about, it's not for everybody, but I love them. Even long before I became a reader, I was using these, and it's because one of my mentors had guided me towards them. So I think that it's great to use cards, and I like to use oracle cards, and the ones that I use, let me show you something you'll recognize here. They have the name of an angel at the top, the name of an archangel, and they have a word at the bottom. This one is Archangel Uriel, and the word is trust. The fewer the words, the better, I feel. I mean, maybe in the beginning, when you're first starting, you might appreciate the cards that have a whole paragraph at the bottom. But I actually like to have no words, which would be soul cards, or few words, which are oracle cards. So what you can do in the morning when you're on a journey for your life purpose is shuffle your cards. Like I said, I love my Archangel cards, and just pull a card out, fan them out like this, and just run your fingers over them. Ask your angels to guide you to a card, pull a card out. And this one is Archangel Raziel, and the word is retreat. So if you got a word like that, I mean, you're going to have to really tune into it and use your intuition, your own soul guidance, because it's important that you tune into what it means for you. And that's why I like the ones that don't give too direct a meaning. So let's say you got that retreat card. It could be that you truly need to go on a retreat. You need a break. You need to get away from your routine, from everything, all your distractions, so that you can focus. I've done it. Before I lived in the Sedona area, I came here for a week because I needed to get my life back on track. I needed to get my head clear and just tune into my angels for a full week with no distractions, and it was glorious. So that could also mean, retreat can also mean you're on a wrong path. Pull back from what you're doing. So there's a lot of different things. I want to say, B, thank you so much. B says, I'm so happy you've recovered. I'm almost there. I still have some fatigue and a cough, but compared to the last 2 weeks, I'm doing ducky. So thank you so much. COVID tried to knock me down. So that's a fun thing to do, and you can use it for your daily guidance. You can also ask a question. Like, so let's say that you're thinking about a new career. And or it doesn't have to be a career. I want you to really understand that there's a lot of flexibility in what a life purpose means. It's not always about a career. Sometimes it's just about something that you do. So your life purpose could be something you do outside of what you do to make a living. So let's say you ask your angels the question every morning, please give me some specific guidance towards my life purpose. Because why not? Why wouldn't you ask something like that? And if you do meditation, same thing. Before you meditate, set your intention by saying, I'm doing this meditation today because I'm seeking guidance towards my life purpose. I really need help with this. And keep asking the same question until you get a clear answer. I want to share some, it's in my book, so if you read it already, bear with me, but it was powerful. I was in that terrible relationship, very toxic, damaging person, and I was asking my angels, should I stay and try to help this person or should I go? And I asked every day, morning and night, for 4 months. And I don't know if it took so long because I was in such a mess then, just very distraught. And so much was going on around me, like this just whirlwind of chaos. But finally, I had the dream. I call it the big dream. One night I was sound asleep and all my angels came to me. And I recognized Sir Marius, that's my master guide. And I saw Angelus, my guardian angel, and all these other angels were around me and guides. And I'm sitting propped up in my bed. And they're all around me, holding my hands, putting their arms around me, sending their angelic energy into me. And my master guide said, you have to leave to save yourself. And I started crying in my dream. I woke up and I was crying because I knew that it was true. But the light worker part of me didn't want to face that, did not want to abandon this person. Now I can see the truth that it would have just killed me if I'd stayed. But sometimes, our goodness in our heart overrides our common sense. And that was certainly one of those times. So, sometimes you really need, I think often we need that angelic guidance because we're stuck in being human. We're stuck in an emotion that's got us imprisoned and unable to see our options. And that certainly can be true for a life purpose. What I'm noticing lately, yes, there's millions of people out there seeking their life purpose, which makes me so happy because I see it as a clear sign of planetary enlightenment. I know it's a drag that everywhere you go is short-staffed, but it's part of what's going on here. It's a byproduct of all these people seeking some meaningful purpose to their life. Isn't that beautiful? I think it's worth being short-staffed for a while, but people are going to start settling into it. They're coming to us at Sedona Soul Sisters. My goodness, so many clients asking for help with finding their life purpose. They're going to find it, and these dominoes are going to fall into place, and it's going to happen for you too. If you don't know what you're supposed to do, you're going to figure it out. So we talked about several things. I want to talk about intervention because it's good to ask your angels for help, but the truth is your angels know what you need. They know your heart. They know what's going on in your life. I mean, they're with you. Some of them are with you literally every second of your life, birth to death. So they're absolutely aware of what's going on. And you know how sometimes I'm going to go back to being sick because this happens to me every time I get sick. I get so sick, I don't even think of taking medicine. I'm just like being sick. And then I'll start to come out of it and I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, why don't you take some cold and flu medicine? Why don't you do this or that? But I get so wallowed in it, feeling horrible that I can't think of what I need to do. So I think that it's times like that that you need to realize when your angels start giving you these signs and messages. Just start paying attention. They're trying to wake you up. They're trying to shake you up. There's a comment here. Okay, so yes, I think you're right. Woke up, no alarm necessary. B, woke up, no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence anymore. I believe in synchronicity. So it's all around us. I think you're right about that, B. So be aware of this. Just understand that even if they tell you to do something that doesn't make sense to you, if it's not killing somebody, if it's not going to get you in legal trouble, I have never had an angel tell me to do something bad. They've told me to do things that are certainly out of my comfort zone, but always the reason is revealed and they're right, and I needed to do that. I can be pretty shy around crowds of people, or sometimes I just shut down because of being an empath. It's too much input when there's crowds of people around me, and I'll sort of shut down. And I am social, but when I'm told by my angels, talk to a stranger, like especially if I have to do something weird, like approach some man at the grocery store, I didn't like that one bit, but I did it because I knew they wouldn't tell me to do that if there wasn't a reason. And it actually, interestingly, was early in my time of doing mediumship. And I wasn't sure. I had gone through the whole training with Suzanne Wilson, and it was really great, and I felt ready professionally, but I wasn't so sure that I wanted to do that, even though I think it's the ultimate grief therapy. But that was one of the things that really cemented it for me, was talking to the man at the grocery store and finding out his wife had died, and he needed to know she was okay. And here, standing outside of a grocery store on a busy afternoon, his wife came through and gave me some messages. So, your angels are going to tell you to do things and you're not going to understand why, but just do it. Have some faith. I think it's so important to have faith, and faith in God, faith in angels. I've had some, to me, mystifying comments on Facebook from some people who seem to think if I'm talking about angels, I don't believe in God. I don't understand that correlation. Or they think that I think God is not important. God is absolutely important. God is the overall riding chief of everything. And the angels are creatures created by God to help mankind. That's what I'm about, is that God intended these beings to help us, these ethereal beings, and we are not really working in harmony with them as God intended. So that's the way that all fits in there. So another thing that's going to happen is you're going to feel an inner push. I felt it many times where I just felt like, I'll give you an example. Before I started doing my spiritual work at all, I saw an ad in the paper. I was still living in Prescott, Arizona, and I saw an ad in the paper for a course at Yavapai College that was for medical Qigong energy healing. I didn't even know what energy healing was. I had zero experience with it, but I felt this push like I had to take it. I was a single parent then, and it was every weekend for like 8 weeks over a summer, and I thought, it's so crazy, but like I came up with the money and I had to do it, and I had a gift for it, and early on, and I was able to heal people through using those techniques, and that is what started my spiritual journey, my professional spiritual journey. Even though I did energy healing for free for family and friends of family and family of friends and on for a very long time, I did it because it gave me such joy. And it was what opened me up to going further. I found a teacher then, kind of dropped into my lap. Oh, thank you, angels. Who was wonderful. Belinda Howe was a wonderful instructor for all things spiritual. She was living in Prescott then, so it was so handy. And I had private lessons with her for over a year. And that opened me further to my own gifts that I'd long been aware that I had, but I had no intention of doing anything with it. So you're going to feel these pushes to do things. And I think you just have to, again, come to a place of some trust that you're being given this push for a reason, that you are having this strong feeling you need to do something. It can be to take a class. It could be to talk to a person. It can be to take a specific job. It can be to move. I mean, it can be to read a book. I've had that happen. So I'm a big reader, always have been. So I'd go to a bookstore and I'll just walk through and a book will literally, I'll be called to it. And my attention will turn and I'll stop and I'm just looking and then I like zero in. There's one that's just calling out to me. And that's part of that inner push too. It's kind of a combination of a sign and an inner push. But anything like that you just feel strongly and you don't really know what's going on, especially if you're looking for your life purpose, my goodness, why wouldn't you just kind of take every little clue that you're given, every little thing? Because what I find is people come and they want me to tell them what their life purpose is. And occasionally that will happen, but it's really rare. And it's because the angels finally told me that if we tell a human what they're supposed to do, they're going to try to just go do it. And the problem with that is that then you bypass the journey. And in the journey is the discovery of the people you're going to need, the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom, so that when you figure out what it is, that you're prepared and you can be successful in it. I liken it to somebody saying, oh, I want to be a doctor and hanging a shingle out. No, you got to go to medical school and you need to memorize lots of information. You've got to get yourself ready so that when you hang your shingle out, you are prepared, you're going to be successful at it. Same thing, you can be eager to find it, but unfortunately, you're going to have to go through the journey to be really ready for it. My journey was a long one. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, my goodness, when I was 18, I went to my first spiritual event, and it was a guy, I think he was Danish, and he was really world famous, but I didn't know. So I was 18. What did I know? And he went around the circle and he was giving messages to each person and he skipped over me. And I was a little bit disappointed and a little bit relieved because I didn't want to be the center of attention. And then at the very end, like we thought he was done. And then he turns around and he points at me. And he's like, you have 9 diamonds. He went into this trance. He's like, you have 9 diamonds around your head. You are a very powerful channel. You're going to do this work. You're going to help a lot of people. And then he kind of snapped out of it. And everybody's looking at me, just exactly what I didn't want to happen. Everybody's looking at me. And I did not know what that meant. I did a little bit of research. These were pre-internet days, folks. So I went to the library and looked it up and then talked to some spiritual friends. And I wanted nothing to do with that, because everything that I read that said being a channel was about spirits coming through you and channeling. And I didn't realize at that time that it could be angels. Wow, I hear my angels coming in right now. My angel ears ringing like crazy. They weren't talking about that for me. They were talking about angels, channeling angels. So I ran from that. I mean, anytime there were several other gatherings where somebody who was a renowned psychic would come up to me and say, you have the gift, you're a medium, and people would tell me you've got a strong connection to angels. And I knew that, but I really didn't want to get into it at a party. But I just ran from it. And eventually I couldn't run anymore. Eventually my angels are like, no. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. I do think it's important that you strongly consider asking for help from your angels. Why wouldn't you? So like I said, ask them for help getting you there. I had a lovely lady, a returning client I talked to yesterday, and she was so cute. She's like, well, I recently took a job, but it's so stressful. I can't handle it. And I got this other job offer and I took it. But then I just wanted to see what you think, because you've been so dead on about everything for me with my life. I just want to know. And the second she even started talking about this new job offer, like angels were just coming in so strong and like singing and yes, this is so for you. This is perfect. And she starts laughing. She says, well, I already took it, because she hadn't told me till then. But I'm so glad she did, because what happened was I heard the angels say that this is an answer to your prayer. And she started crying. And she said, it is. I've been asking them to please help me find something that's not so stressful, because she'd gone through a really serious medical issue, and her energy level was pretty low still, so she couldn't handle it. And I said, your angels heard that. They're telling me that they heard you talking about that, and even your thoughts about it. And that's why because the job offer just literally came out of the blue. Somebody contacted her and said, hey, would you like to do this? And it was better pay. It was much less stress. It was something she was really comfortable with. And thank God that she had enough trust in her angels at that point to just take that opportunity, because it's kind of like you're thinking about it, or you're verbalizing that request to your angels and to God, and then the answer drops into your life and you don't take it. Think about that. How often is this going to happen for you? If you don't take that opportunity, do you think they're going to drop another one in your lap? Maybe, maybe not. But they're offering you a lifeline. Grab it. Grab it and see where that leads for you. It's so important that you take the help that's offered. And I know this is kind of hard for me. Like, I have become so independent that I never ask for help. It's really rare for me to ask for help, and it's rare for me to accept help, but I'm working on that. It's like there's such a thing as being too independent, and that definitely translates to your relationship with your angels too. When they're trying to help you, what is to be gained by not accepting the help of your angelic team? What could possibly benefit you by not letting them help you? So take it. My goodness, it was a gift from heaven, and I'm glad she took it. And I feel like that's going to be a really big boon for her with her health, just to help her get her feet under her better, and just be happier in life. And that comes back to this whole thing too, of why so many people have left their jobs, is they're not happy. They want to do something they're passionate about. And I am a proponent of that. I think it's so important. I've been really lucky because I've always been passionate about my long-term jobs. There's been a few short-term ones that, no, not so much. It was just a job. But for the most part, my careers, and I've had 3 of them, I have been passionate about that. I want you to know, I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to mention it in future because it's such an important part of this, is when you get help, whether it's a guidance, a message, a sign, a job offer, whatever it is drops into your lap, act on it. Act on it. If your angels tell you to do something or guide you towards something, act on it. Because when you do, it's telling them 2 things. It's telling them that you are attuned to them and you're hearing them, you're receiving those messages, and you're ready. You're ready to take action. If you don't take action, they'll never stop giving you guidance, but it will back off. If you take it, if you act on what they tell you to do, they give you more and more and more. And that's why when people are like, oh, Ivory, you're so lucky because your angels talk to you every day. I'm like, hey, follow my steps. I'm telling you, your angels will be talking to you every day too. I'm not so special. I think that anybody can have that relationship with their own angels. The only difference with me is I can hear other people's angels and see them. That's the difference. But as far as your own angels go, you have the ability to have a really close relationship with them and to hear them, see them, feel them. Absolutely. But you do have to come to a place where you feel trust. And it's very much like any other relationship in your life where you need to trust your family, and hopefully you can. You need to have friends that you trust. You need to be able to trust yourself. And you certainly need to have trust in your angels, that they're giving you positive guidance, that they are being helpful. They're trying to keep you on track, get you back on track, help you find answers to what you seek. What would be their motivation for doing anything less? You are their only focus. So you really do need to just stay focused on seeing the signs, hearing the messages, recognizing that inner push. And the truth is, when you do that, it's sort of like you're looking down. I always see it in my head as like Hansel and Gretel going through the forest after breadcrumbs with a much happier ending. Because at the end, what happens is you bump into your life purpose. If you take your eyes off of the end result, if you stop thinking about what is my life purpose, I got to find my life purpose, and you just stay focused on all the signs and guidance you're getting from your angels, you literally bump right into your life purpose. And I promise you, I've helped many people find their life purpose through this method. You can do it too. And one thing people will say, oh, I've always wanted to do this or that, but I'm too old. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Like yes, I did psychic readings and healing work for a long time, secretly, as I was working in mental health. And obviously, those two cannot coexist. So I did that work, and I knew there just came a point when it couldn't be done secretly anymore. And let me tell you a little bit more about this, because I think it's really important. The fact that missions morph. And what I mean by that is people think that they find their life purpose, their mission, their goal, and that's it. That's what they're going to do the rest of their life. But it really doesn't always work that way. For some people, it does. For some people, they know early on. Let's say that they are called to be a doctor, and they become a doctor, and that's what they do the rest of their life, and it's completely fulfilling. They're never called to do anything different. That's what they're supposed to do. It didn't work that way for me and for many other professionals in the spiritual field that I know. I'm going to share my journey with you. Is that I was managing a financial planning firm, and a job fell into my lap at a radio station. And it wasn't even that great of a job. It's like, but I really needed to get out of where I was. It was a toxic environment. And I took that job, just totally on faith, took the job. And I started out as the receptionist at this radio station. And within 2 months, I was operations manager, and then I was national sales manager too. And I did the promotions, and then I hosted a talk show, and it was good because I wrote a lot of commercials for people, and I helped them with their business so their businesses were more successful. And it was really fun, brought some great people into my life, but I never saw that as like part of my spiritual journey. It took a long time to see how that fit in. But at some point, like 5.5 years in, I started feeling a really strong inner push to go back to school, and this time major in mental health, which I did. And while I was still in school, I started doing an internship at a psychiatric hospital because I heard that that would be the best way to get a job once I was ready to be hired. And I did. They gave me a job, and I was promoted quickly, higher and higher, till I was in administration there. And I did a lot of therapy work with clients, counseling work, emergency services, emergency counseling. I loved that work. Loved my clients, loved the work, thought I would do that the rest of my life. I worked in that field for 17 years in 3 different places till I was the program coordinator for mental health for the county I live in. Well, during that time, early in my mental health career, is when I was called also to start doing readings. And I did it for a company that was in Sedona. And I did it under a different name, never showed my face. And immediately I was doing corporate intuitive work for corporations, which I still love to do, and helping people in that way. And I always wondered, like, why do I feel I have to do this? I make decent money, why am I doing this? And my angels are like, just trust it, just go with this. So later down the road, my angels said, Ivory, you have to leave your mental health job now. You've got to move to Sedona and do your spiritual work full time using your name and your face. And I kind of like was horrified. I'm like, what? I felt so exposed. Like I did not want to do that. I really did not want to do that. And I didn't want to leave my career, but I did it. I did it within a few months of that first message. I had wrapped things up and I had moved on. What's really interesting when I look back on it is I could not do my business that I have and the work I do if I hadn't had my experience in radio, my experience in mental health. All of that is heavily involved in what I do now. So I can see very clearly that there was a defined path for me and I was being led there, and it took years to get to this point. So remember I said never think you're too old to do something. By the time that I was made aware that I was a medium, which I didn't get, even though I saw angels in spirit and heard them my whole life, it was blocked from me from connecting with that. But when I got that message, it was huge, like an epiphany, really, an epiphany. And I started doing this work when I was 52 years old. So you are never too late. It's never too late to do something that you feel called to do. It's never too late to find your life purpose. I've got a lot of clients who are in their 70s and they've been working towards and found a life purpose, and they're not doing it to make money. They're doing it because it fills their soul. And that kind of just circles back to what I said earlier, that try not to think of it as something you have to do for a living, because it's not connected to making money always. Isn't necessarily what you're going to do for a career, but it's something important. And for a lot of people, their primary or at least a secondary life purpose is how you are interacting with everyone you encounter in your life. Do you make them feel better as a result of having interacted with you? Do you leave them better in some way? Maybe just your energy that you emit is making people's lives better. It's helping people. If you're lucky, then some of them will tell you how you've made changes in their life, how you've helped them. Otherwise, you may just never know and just have to trust that you're being a light, you're shining your light, you're trying to do good in the world, and that you are helping people. And maybe that is your life purpose. And it's a big one. It's a huge one right now with all the negativity and the fear going on in the world. We need as much of that as we can get. So think about that as you're going through your day. I think for anybody on a spiritual journey, it's important to be cognizant of how you're presenting yourself to the world and to others, how you're leaving them feeling when you're done interacting with them. You want to be a force for good. You want to be a force for healing and positive change. Every one of us has that ability to at least do that. And to me, that's something you can be consciously doing and improving even as you're seeking something bigger. I think most people know in their heart, they just get that gut feeling inside that there's something they're supposed to be doing. And if it's beyond that, you're going to know it, and trust that. Trust that feeling that you have inside, because it's right, and don't worry about it. So I'm going to tell you, I didn't want to leave my job in mental health. I knew I was going to miss my clients and some of my coworkers, and I just loved the work. It was fascinating. Definitely never a dull day. I love my work I do in spirituality more than anything else I've ever done, and I've loved all my careers. But this just is the cherry on top for sure, because I get to help people in a way more profoundly than I could in any of my other careers. I never thought there was a way that was more profound than helping with their mental health. But when you help people spiritually, I think that's huge. For me, it's been huge. And so I look back on all of that and I see that it made me a better business person. It made me a better spiritual counselor, because I have counseling background, and I know how to calm people. I know how to keep myself calm. I know how to send serenity and healing out to people, which I do with all of my sessions. So those are things that you can learn, that you can teach yourself to do along the way. And I hope that today, just talking about this process, that will help you come up with your own. Take some of this if you want Take all of it if you want. I just want to share it with you so that as many of you as possible can find your life purpose as quickly as you can. The people who use this method where you're involving your angels tend to find their life purpose much faster. And I know that feeling inside when you just want to know what's next. When I know I'm supposed to do something, what is it? And people can get pretty frantic about it. They just want to know what it is. This is the fastest way to figure out what it is. And I know that you can do this. If you start using these methods and you get stuck, email me. Email me. That's, I'm here to help. And like I said, I will answer questions, and that includes things like that. So I encourage you to put these into practice and start looking around to see kind of what drops into your lap, see what's presented to you. You probably are going to be a little bit surprised. It usually does circle back to something that you've already been passionate about, and it could be an aspect of that passion that you hadn't thought about before. So sometimes people end up using skills they've used in other careers, and now they're using it in a different way that they hadn't thought about. So a good thing also is to think back on, what did you really love when you were younger? When you were a kid, when you were in junior high, high school, college age, what did you really feel passionate about? Generally, your life purpose will be involving something from those early years. And I'm convinced that we come into this lifetime with something built into us telling us what we're supposed to do. But the problem is, it doesn't mean you're supposed to do it right away. It doesn't mean you're supposed to graduate high school and boom, start doing this. It means that you're headed there. And so you've got to let the journey unfold. There's got to be some trust that you're being led and that you'll get there. There's a saying, I like to say, everything in divine time. We can't rush things to happen when we want it to happen. I think it's crazy. I think it's just absolutely bonkers that I did not know I was a medium for so long. And my angels are like, you weren't supposed to know till then. I'm like, okay, well, that's a good example for me then for telling my clients this can happen. It happened to me. It can happen to you. And when you're meant to have something revealed to you, you just will. And when you're meant to see it, you will. And the same thing is true for any kind of gift of communicating with your angels that you're working on. It's going to happen when it's meant to happen. But if you keep practicing, it's going to happen faster because you're pulling those walls down. It really is about pulling those internal boundaries down that maybe you have put up or society's put up, your parents have put up. Who knows why they're there. I really think for the most part they're unconscious boundaries, but we need to pull those things down, and we do that by taking action and telling our angels and showing our angels that we are ready to receive. And if you're truly ready to receive, you are going to receive information. So I hope this show today really helps you with finding your life purpose. Don't be shy about reaching out to me if you have a question about it. Again, my email is in the show description. If you want to know more about me and my services, visit my website, IvoryAngelicMedium.com. And if you want to know about my book, I have a website for that. It's IvoryLaNoue.com. So you can check out more information about my book and my other book there. Tune in next week. I'm going to go back and do last week's topic since I was too sick to do a show. So next week is going to be self-care and your angels. And I think that'll be a surprising one for you, but one that's going to benefit everybody in these trying times. In the meantime, may your angels surround you and protect you every moment of every day of your life.